episode.
Buttery.
Dose 2. We're on. We're live, baby.
We are on.
This thing is on and rolling. Okay. 383 podcast.
Yep.
Back here, Andy, Ian, on number 2, episode number 2. We got past 1, and that's the most important part. Today, we're going to be talking about cross country, because that's where we found our way here through cross country. Well, I think I would say I did. I don't know about you when you would say that you track, but I would say cross country is how I
Mainly
got my
cross
way.
country, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best. I've come to love it. You know,
Yeah.
I used to hate it. It's like 3 miles. Who wants to do that? Now I'm doing.
And now you do
fucking-
double.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. So
It's a
yeah,
riot.
I think that the goal, if we had to give an overview of what we wanted to do for this episode, was to kind of compare our how we got here and compare our stories, and then kind of just give a little bit of time to share each one's story.
Yeah,
So
and definitely compare the experience as you are as a freshman and as I am as a junior.
of course,
Definitely. But before that, our Squirtle shoe recommendation of this episode,
Right there.
as presented by our wonderful saxophone Squirtle, is the Saucony Endorphin Speed 1s. And that's a shoe I got actually recently. And I know the 3s just came out recently, so I've kind of been... The 4s are coming out soon?
now.
Oh, God,
yeah,
man.
I saw
Yeah.
it. I was like, holy cow! They did a like. I mean, we've seen some crazy nose jobs before. I don't know, but they revamped that shoe completely. It looks
Really?
nothing like that one.
For the better, you think?
I haven't tried it. I'm excited though.
All right.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to get back to work.
We could throw up an image comparison.
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
minute,
exactly.
In the editing process.
So these
but
are the ones, by the way.
These are the ones. Yeah, I was late to the game. I went all the way back to the 1s. The 3s had only come out recently. Now I just learned the 4s are coming out soon.
I don't know if they're out in retail yet. I don't think they are, but they are supposed to be out soon. Usually with my YouTube channel feed, God, who is it? I think it's Believe in the Run. You heard of them?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
They posted a video of them trying out the new Endorphin Speed 4s. So I'm excited. That's been a
should
really
be-
fan favorite show.
Awesome to compare.
Yeah.
Um,
What do you think of the
but
ones
yeah,
so far?
I honestly, the biggest thing I would have to say that gives me support of the shoe is it's the spiritual successor to the Pegasus Turbo, the original Pegasus Turbo.
Yeah.
And I fully stand by that because it basically feels the same thing but beefed up and
You get
how it would be in a modern, like, post-plated shoe era, honestly, because it doesn't have a carbon, but it's got the plastic rigidity or the
Yeah.
nylon plate, I think.
It's a nylon, yeah. So it's surprisingly, it
Mhm.
pulls you forward a good bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I've tried some mini carbon plated shoes on in my life, but that one, it seems to give me a lot of pull forward. And I've been enjoying it a lot. I've never had an issue with it. I mean, it's been a great shoe. The only issue for me is once I start to wear them in a little bit more, I start to overpronate a little bit more.
Mhm.
I don't know if people know what that means, but it's like when your ankles go over the inwards because it's that kind of shock system. So you're starting to go over the inwards, and it's not really great for your form. And so once you get a little bit older, but it's like kind of a telltale sign of you need a new pair.
I haven't had that yet, although those are still newish at
Yeah.
like 30, 40-ish miles. So, yeah, hopefully that won't happen too badly.
The twos are really similar to the ones. They didn't change.
I heard it was
much.
just an upper change because
Exactly.
I've seen some of the other guys have
Yeah.
pairs of the 2s,
And the
and they don't look too
threes,
different.
They
The 3s are
revamped it
different.
completely.
The 3s I heard were more like a daily.
Yeah.
They made it more daily, like wider base.
I feel like the foams is slightly squishier too.
Really?
Yeah, I think they wanted to make that wider base, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they had this little platform you stand on,
Mhm.
where there's 2 little plates that go out this way, so it's gonna prevent that overpronation
Yeah, it's
mildly.
it was like a H plate. It kind of
Yeah,
looked like that.
exactly. Yeah.
Mizuno did something like that too.
Yeah, and it worked out okay, but there's been a lot of people that didn't really love them, which was a buzzkill. But
Yeah.
hopefully the 4s that pleases everyone. So that's the shoe of the day of the Squirtle.
That is the shoe, the Sax Squirtle shoe of the episode. So
Yeah.
I'm not sponsored, but Saucony, if you gave me an NIL, I would not be opposed to that if you're listening.
I don't think I would
Alright.
be either. So let's start off
Into
with
the meat though, into the meat potatoes.
Yeah,
Alright.
since you're the older one, I'll let you speak first.
I kind of
Respect the
touched this
authority.
on the end of the first episode too, because I went on one of my stories went on the tangent of how I started running in cross country overall, but I suppose I'll also go into that here, given that we're talking about the introductions of our running and cross country careers in a sense. Um, Back in high school, I started technically when I was a freshman, although I was kicked off my cross country team as a freshman because it was mandatory practice because I was out of the country at that point. Um, so I did not run cross country my freshman year. I did run track my freshman year. I did surprisingly track. I ran all 4 years of high school, and still that was not my favorite compared to cross country. I ran cross country 3 seasons. I ran track 4 seasons, and loved cross country so much more, infinitely.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't really take college running into consideration until I was probably, I think it was 2019, so I would have been a junior, and that was at the tail end, or like the pandemic was beginning to rear its head. So right when I was getting into thinking about schools, all the track meets my junior year got shut down, so that was a bit of a buzzkill, and it definitely impacted what I was trying to go for in terms of obviously times and obviously how I was looking at schools. So I had a lot of time to think about where to go, and that did lead me to here. And I can't say it's been a bad series of events, even though I could have gone without a global pandemic. And I could say that for probably
Yeah.
the world, honestly. But, we're confined to this small space, so I can say that for me.
It makes it difficult though too for schools too for recruiting because they're expecting less funding over the next few years. I know Clemson shut down their program for a bit over the pandemic, so that was an issue for them. And I know a lot of people had trouble with recruiting because you weren't able to compete in track for your junior year, right?
No, basically, besides some dodgy unattached meets and some time trials, it was essentially just
Time off and training.
time off and training.
Yeah, exactly. So then you weren't able to get back till cross country your senior year, right?
No, I wasn't.
You didn't run cross country.
Oh, I did. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't able to, or I didn't really get back into competing as a team until cross country
Senior year.
And
Yeah.
I think that also is part of what strengthened my love for cross country more than track is that over that course of time, training over the pandemic, that group of guys that I was with on my team definitely got bonded a lot more stronger.
Yeah.
And that made it a lot more of a memorable experience than what I had in track because I never had a great track experience.
So
And I can say that all 4 years, for all 4 of my years, I'd never had a great track experience.
over the pandemic, is that when you kind of strengthen your bond with them?
Yeah,
You say?
for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
And I think that also kind of plays into uh, why I think it's clicked so well having a good team to go into in college as well.
Yeah.
Just because that kind of bond you get from high school goes into college, and you want to replicate that and make it better, in a sense. So, and when you have guys that also think like that, and guys that go into that, it makes it a lot more memorable experience.
Your senior cross country season, where'd you place as a team?
We were at the end of the season at the state meet. We placed second, and
Yeah.
it was kind of annoying because that year, only that year for so. Oh yeah, I also have to explain this a bit. Is that we did not run, or North Carolina didn't run normal cross country states in November as they normally do.
Yeah.
They pushed it all the way back to January of 21,
Yep.
and they still call it the 2020 championships.
It was like Olympic year. I don't know if you guys followed up with the Olympic year, but they
Yeah,
called
it
it
was
Yeah.
it was our Olympics. We were Olympians basically. Um, but we basically ran a full cross country season till November and then more considering it was in January, which definitely that probably played a part into why I didn't like track my senior year. But going back to cross country, we placed second as a team in the only state meet, as far as I know, that split the race into two heats. There were two heats of the 4A NCHSAA cross country state meet.
Shoot,
Cause you ran that.
No.
You weren't there?
we didn't qualify.
Oh shit.
That's
Tanner
my
was there. I
sophomore
know
year.
Tanner was there, so he can attest to that.
Yeah.
And we were placed in a heat with a team that we had beat by I think 2 or 4 points at the regional meet.
Yeah.
in a mud bath, and that was really that was a team that was really going to be our what we thought was going to be our strongest rivals going to the state meet, but they had a guy go down with COVID, and that took their whole team out of the state meet. So the heat that we were in with them didn't have them, and in terms of in terms of competition, that really screwed us over. And also mentally, knowing that the night before we were racing definitely mentally screwed with us.
Yeah.
And that's how the team in the second heat, or the team that ran before us in the first heat, and we ran in the second heat, got the win over us by 2 points because of. I would attribute because of that, and also none of us really had a good day. I would
So-
say it was a mix of both.
That team that ended up winning, that you didn't anticipate them winning at all. They weren't even close to you. Were they the
They
team?
were a team. They were third in our region.
Yeah.
And we beat them pretty soundly. So we didn't think they would be as high as they would going into the state meet, or even beat us, considering we had gotten them. Because we all of our attention was on the team that we'd beaten, had a place second to us, that we basically had a rivalry with the whole cross country season up
Yeah.
until that point.
Yeah. And
So
then,
it was definitely it was draining to have that loss, pretty much.
oh yeah. You'll find out. I very much know that experience.
Yeah.
So you take us through cross country in those 4 years. You eventually find out you can like maybe get to college and run somewhere your junior year.
Mhm.
That's when COVID started happening. So shit hit the fan. And then you ran cross country your senior year. When did you end up signing with Catawba
I actually signed right around when states would be
for cross?
for cross, so
Yeah.
November. I think I talked to them I talked to Catawba in the summer, and that was probably the strongest option I had out of. I'd also talked to Lynchburg, in Virginia, and Mars Hill out in Mars Hill, North Carolina.
Yeah.
But I did not like them nearly as much as Catawba, so that's what led me here.
What was specifically the reason? The team atmosphere or?
And it's kind of funny. I wouldn't say the team because when I visited, no one from the team was at the school in the summer because it was
Yeah.
the summer, so no one had made it around to campus. But I was with JB, who's our head coach, and our assistant coach at the time, and we had it was basically like a meeting in the football stadium, and he just said, if you come here, we can get you good. And I was basically like, that's all I need to hear. So
Yeah.
that pretty much convinced me.
So just
It sounds kind of stupidly simple, but it
Yeah.
did. And given what I had seen from results and of the team, that at that point, I thought it was my best shot.
Yeah, I agree. So just to like explain it for the listeners, I mean, obviously it sounds simple. I had the same reply, and I've gotten that from multiple schools, but obviously Catawba was the one that convinced me the most. Why did that one school? I mean, it's obviously a simple answer, but I'm assuming other schools gave you that option too, of that we can make you better. Just come here. What stood out with Catawba with that one? JB was a great.
Yeah, he was a great orator. He really swayed me to his side.
Yeah.
And that's don't take that as a diss, JB. It was a rousing speech.
Yeah.
And I do not mean that facetiously. All right. I'm serious. It was a good meeting.
Yeah,
it was a genuinely good meeting. I think it's partly intuition, and it's partly the environment as to why I did. It's funny because that kind of conflicts with what I was saying. I did not like the campus here when I first walked around, but that was because I was without a tour or anything, and
Yeah.
that was when I think I was driving back from. It was something that summer I was driving back from, and we just went through Salisbury. My parents and I did because we were coming back from something. I can't remember what for the life of me. I think it's partially environment, partially intuition, and I would say more intuition than environment because I just said it didn't fully like the school when I got here, or the campus. God, I'm digging myself in the hole.
No,
But-
yeah, I get it. Salisbury's also not exactly the most glorious.
No. Yeah, I mean, when I visited Lynchburg, I would say that is a pretty nicer looking location than Salisbury.
Yeah.
Um, but for some reason, it just didn't click with me to say that was somewhere I wanted to be. And sometimes that's all you really need to. And same with Marseille. Sometimes it can present itself as a really, really good option with like a beautiful setting. And if it doesn't sit right with your gut, I just think you got to run with that, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, it's
No
not you for a
pun
reason.
intended,
Yeah.
actually.
Uh,
So that's what led me here. I think it was a feeling that I knew that told me that this is probably the best choice you're gonna get.
yeah. So take us through. All right, you got here freshman year. Was COVID still an issue for you?
Uh, it was not an issue for me in terms of personally. I think it still impacted our team because we had a few of the guys uh, got scratched out of meets because of false positives,
Yeah.
which was really annoying. Um, and I'm purely talking about running, not academically. Academically, yeah, it did impact me a bit, but running wise, no. Just besides some scares and some really annoying false positives, COVID wasn't a huge issue. It was that was when it was the tail end of things.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So take us through your freshman year, all the way up to now, and kind of briefly explain like what led up to now and your experiences through that. And it's kind of difficult to give.
No, yeah, I can give like spark notes and then zoom in on some detail.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a good way. So freshman year, I really didn't know what to expect because I didn't have great summer training off the belt. I had my wisdom teeth removed mid-July,
That's rough.
so I had to take a bit more time off than I would have, and I was also coming out of a pretty shitty track season as well, and that was probably the one time I can think of that I genuinely did hate running was that senior year track season, just because of a combination of really bad coaching that I didn't like in terms of a new coach that replaced our coach from cross and track previously, uh, and an injury that also added on to that coaching and just really, really bad, uh, just a really bad unwillingness to keep running or want to keep running that.
Was it your freshman year you had the injury, or was it sophomore?
No, that was a different one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was I had a foot injury in track my senior year, and that kind of led to a bad track season my senior year overall, and then going into so I got bounced back from that going into training for cross, but I didn't really know what to anticipate because I hadn't fully followed mileage for going into cross country. Um, but that season, so I didn't really know what to expect going into that season. Um, and if I had to, if I had to describe the first few races, it was a baptism of fire. I would say going and running your first 8K on the Salisbury Community Park is quite a rejuvenating experience in terms of you want to feel alive again after running that because you feel like death the whole
Yeah.
time, especially as as a freshman.
For those that don't know, the Salisbury Community Park is the amount of. You should imagine the most amount of hills you possibly can imagine. And then switchbacks. Switchbacks is where you have to constantly keep turning. And that's the Salisbury Community Park
On
course.
top of a pretty muggy Saturday morning.
Yeah, it's always pretty shitty weather with it being
Yeah.
so humid and hot. I mean, it's
That's
really,
the home course. Tem is down the road also.
we usually run it, like September 1st, maybe late August.
Yeah, it was like September
3rd, something around
first or
there.
10th.
So it's still pretty warm.
Yeah.
And then it's also North Carolina, so it's humid as shit.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like you're just drinking water.
Yeah.
And not good water.
Oh God, no.
So it can be quite hell. So yeah, that baptism of fire that freshman year. Take us through that season real quick, and then maybe sophomore year, and then also just recap real quick about junior year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, after that race, we were at Milliken Research Park in Spartanburg for Converse, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I had I had some Achilles problems going to that race, so I didn't run for a couple of days going in because I had to recover. But I was able to get fine right before the meet, and that might be one of the worst races I ever run. On top of being another hot morning, and not running for a bit, it just felt awful.
Yeah.
And uh, I really did consider dropping out, but then I saw it was one of our guys who did drop out, and I was like, oh fuck, I can't drop out now.
Who was
I gotta
it?
keep going. It was Tommy. Yeah, Tommy has bad luck on Milliken, man. It's
Really?
kind of bad. Yeah, I mean, I'll go into that. He had problems with it on sophomore year too, or my sophomore year. But I had to finish. I ran like 29 minutes. It was 29:30 or something like
For an
that. It
AK?
was for an AK.
Yeah.
It was insanely awful. But I didn't drop out, so I'll commend myself for that. And then after that was, I think, Jesus, I can't fully remember. Was it Florida? No, maybe it was. Yeah, I think it was something else before Florida. I'm pretty sure, but it might have been Milliken. I mean, not Milliken, McAlpine. I think we went to McAlpine um, before going to a pre-nationals meet in St. Leo, Florida, which was the national course that year in 2021. And you might think there's no hills in Florida. St. Leo will teach you there are hills in Florida. They do suck. They are really steep, and they can take out. They can take you out when you least expect it. They can take out. Come November, they took out Dylan Powell. That was insane to watch on TV. But I'll get into that. Um, yeah. So the trip to St. Leo was good. I ran okay-ish. I ran like for the time I ran okay-ish. It was it was a hot Florida morning.
Yeah.
Like,
Hilly.
I
Yeah.
can't, I just I can't get over, not that I can't get over. I cannot emphasize enough how hot those early meets in cross country are, especially even in the mornings. It was something I really can't forget. In a sense, it sticks with you. But I ran like 28 odd. It was all right for the time, I guess. Uh, as a team, we were doing all right. I think we beat some teams on the. Did we beat? Yeah, we beat some teams that were like decently on the cusp of like rankings, and got beat by some teams that were decently cusp on the rankings. Um, so that was like the first taste in a sense. Even if I was on the lower end of things, the first taste in a sense of the broader D2 running landscape.
Yeah, that was pre-nats, right?
Yeah, it was pretty nice.
Yeah. And then after that, you had that's when you had McAlpine.
Yeah. Oh, did I
Royals.
mix them
Yeah.
up? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah,
Quick T-first shirts right there.
we had Royals after that. Royals was another big one. It was really rainy that day. It was insanely rainy that day.
Still had a
And that was
massive PR though.
that was fun as hell. The course was short at that point, but that still would have been a PR otherwise.
Yeah.
It was probably like 30 or 40 seconds short. I ran like 26:10-ish for reference.
So he ran at D2 pre-nats. He ran 28:15, which was his no, at our home course he ran 28:03 at Royals XC Challenge, which is McAlpine course in Charlotte, which is it's a pancake course, but it's a fun course.
3 laps around 8K at the time. Well, it wasn't 8K, but we said 8K.
Yeah, by pancake we mean it's just completely flat. So it's 26:12 he ran for that, so it's almost a 2-minute PB.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
That was pretty good. I enjoyed that meet. And at that point, I was like 6-man, so I was getting as sometimes as freshman minded I was thinking, oh yeah, I got this on lock. I got top 7 on lock. We're all good. And then come conference, I had a stinker, and the boogeyman got me himself, Mr.
Yes.
Brandon Burns. He got me, and so did Tommy, and that bumped me out of the top 7, and I was really angry and bummed about that. But that was more on me than on them. It's kind of in the sense
It can still be down.
competition among the team that gets you angry. But I took it too personally. You don't learn to not take that stuff personally. Really.
Yeah, you can.
Because I think that's the biggest thing I learned from that freshman season. Don't take getting beat by teammates and stuff personally, and don't think that your position is on lock either, because that thing got taken out of me. So I didn't end up running regionals as a result, but our team did make it to the nationals for the first time that year, which was pretty awesome to see. And I got to see that race, and that was pretty. And that day was like the opposite of that day in September at Milliken. It was so cold. I could feel it through my fingertips and toes. That was an insanely cold South Carolina day, but they made it, and back to Florida at St. Leo for nationals. It wasn't a great day for the team when they won. They got 33rd out of 34th. It wasn't a great day for a lot of guys, like I mentioned
Yeah.
earlier. Dylan Powell, who's a damn D2 legend at this point, honestly. That
Yeah.
guy's really freaking good. I watched him on the live stream fall down, and I guess everyone there saw him fall down going up that stupid huge hill. The heat that day was just damn bad. And it's funny because D1 and D2 were hosted in Florida that year. That course was so much worse than the FSU course. Like I don't know how. Like if they really can't compare because that D1 course was damn quick, and
Yeah.
like Mance ran under 29 for that win.
There was a lot of guys that still had trouble with the heat, though.
Yeah.
I remember Cooper Terry. I mean, he
Oh yeah, that is
collapsed
true.
for like a long while before he was able to get the
Yeah.
finish line. But sometimes it kind of just shows you're giving it your all, and you can't make it all the way.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it took a toll, and I guess I'll go into sophomore year cross now.
okay,
Um, that was a bit of a rough year as well in terms of I hadn't basically run all summer because I had an IT band injury from jumping mileage too quickly in June. So I was running 25, 30-mile weeks at most if I was lucky on some weeks. And by the time I got back to August was the time I was running back to normal mileage, like at school. So that was definitely it was a long climb up the hill. Uh, and where did we go that year? So we went back to Milliken.
Converse
Well,
kickoff.
I ran home meet. Home meet was a lot better than the home meet of my freshman year, except I had probably the worst running cramp I ever had. I was trying to basically lean over like this to see if it could uncramp itself for at least a mile.
Basically doing a Tanner Smith right there.
Yeah, a full
Yeah.
Tanner Smith without the broken butt.
Yeah, so Tanner was doing the same thing this year, but he ended up screwing himself over with that. But trying to lean over, trying to get rid of a cramp, but you can get some nasty stitches out there.
Oh, absolutely. And I still ran well. I ran like 27:50 odd, which was all right for the home course and those kind of conditions. And then the next meet was Milliken, and I ran 3 minutes faster than I did at Milliken my freshman year, and that was a really cool race. And
Yeah.
I mentioned about Tommy earlier. He had a rough one on Milliken too. That was
Did you DNF that one too?
he didn't DNF. He just fell down in the middle of the race and because of the heat, and he got back up and finished. It was
Dang.
a little rough. And then after that, we went to Louisville at the Tom Sawyer course in Louisville, Kentucky. That was a super chaotic race. Holy goddamn! I think there was like 30 something teams in our race, and at that point, so the race starts like on a bit of a bumpy downhill, and it goes into a ditch basically.
Yeah.
We were going. Me and James were running. Me and James Shue, Jimmy, were running together for that first mile. We were going 6-minute pace because of the amount of guys that were just swamping us. It was so much traffic,
Yeah.
but it was insanely chaotically fun. That was probably I would say like top 5 most fun races I've been in, and I almost broke 26 there. And considering injury and all that, I was pretty happy with that.
26:02. I expected your sophomore year to be a little bit more troublesome than it actually was. I mean, honestly, looking at the times, the injury, obviously you can do the what if game of what it could have been, but
Yeah,
you still
no,
had a solid year.
I was more focused on, and this isn't like if I had to take a lesson away from each season, I suppose that sophomore year was more of it was a lesson in resilience, I suppose, because you go in with the mentality of nothing to lose and that you're gonna claw your way back to that position and hold it. Then even with the position of fitness that I was in, which was 0 going into cross, I I was able to call myself in the top 7, and I was really happy with keeping as much positivity as I could
Yeah.
going into that. Although I learned the hard way come conference and regionals that mindset is good, but your fitness can only take you so far when you haven't stacked summer miles like that. Because going into conference, uh, that was at the home course, which is really awesome. It was nice to do a conference meet at the home course. Um, but that was a really hot paced race. We went out at like four. I was in a pack that went out at like 4:48 the mile through our home course, which was a downhill mile for the first one. But
Yeah.
then I go straight into an uphill, so it was insanely bad for the rest of that. Although we did well as a team, we got second in the conference, um, and we had a lot of guys have good performances, like Usama, who got third, and a lot of I think top 4 or 5 in all conference and freshman of the year awards for Tanner and James and those guys. And so it was really inspiring to see everyone else do really damn well. And then next week was regionals, and I had made it on to that point, which I hadn't last year. And I was at Wingate. Wingate's course is a bit of a bruiser as well. It's 3 loops of a pretty damn hilly lake loop.
Yeah.
And I could get through an 8K pretty well. A 10K is where I got punched in the teeth really, really badly and ran like 34 minutes. And on top of that, we had some of the guys having sickness and some other issues, so we didn't do as well as we could have, and we got fourth, 13 off of Anderson, and we missed nationals. We missed the nationals berth by 13 points.
Yeah, that crushed everyone.
Yeah, and Osama did make it. He had a really good race. He made it as an individual, and our girls team also made it for the first time. But everyone was just really, really damn beat by that.
Yeah. So on a little bit of a redemption pass there, so I don't get a little bit of a depression fit from that. Let's take us to junior year.
Our junior year, the
yeah.
introduction
Yes.
of you and the 2022 class.
2023 class.
2023 class. Damn,
Yeah.
I'm old. Anyway, this was a better year going into cross for my summer training. It had some hiccups, but overall it was better. I was running consistently. So we had the home meet, and it was more low key than the previous home meets. Since it wasn't a conference meet or anything like that, we just kind of, I think it was like tempo the first 3 miles,
Yeah.
and then picked it up. It was like 2 on the second loop. We picked it up, and that was pretty fun to do for an opening one.
Yeah.
And then everyone had a good time there. We got 10 guys top 10. That was really fun.
Just for comparison too, your time from your sophomore year to your junior year at the home meet, you ran 27:58, and that was not a time trial either. It was not a tempo or a workout. So he ran 27:58, and then this year, it was a workout. So we were told to go slower the first 3 miles. We couldn't go as fast as we wanted to. We just wanted to do an easy workout because the competition wasn't worth it for that. And he ran 27:06. So, and that was better than what you ran at conference, right?
I think it was 4 seconds off what I ran at conference.
Yeah.
I ran 27:02 at conference.
Yeah, so 27:02, that was an all-out effort at conference. He ran 27:02, and he ran 4 seconds slower at a tempo.
Yeah.
For 3 miles. So definitely, when you have a summer base, you do a lot.
It does.
It does help a lot.
It really does. That's a good point to bring up.
Yeah. So you kind of had a really good race, and we in that race we actually stuck together for a bit.
We did.
Yeah.
That was fun.
So I dropped off the pack, but you were already off it for a little bit. And you caught up with me, and I'm like, all right, can't lose to the other redhead. All right, so I try to keep up pace with him, and he's doing really well. He's keeping me in it too, and we go through that race together really well. We kind of just bounce and piggyback off each other. And then for the people that don't know, towards the end of the race,
oh God, the scream!
I tend to let out a little bit of
a
rage scream. So it's like my little last, like in high school we had a way of saying it, like, uno mas, one more. So I tend to think of the things that motivate me to the finish line, and I let out a crazy scream. And So
When I heard that the first time, I really was worried that you stepped on a root and were screaming out in pain. I didn't want to turn around,
Yeah.
but I was like, "Oh God, what just happened?"
and then I have a little bit of a sprint kick finish because it was a tempo for the first three. While it did suck, I did have a lot more left in the tank than I normally do. And I sprinted. I ended up catching James. And then
Yeah, I remember that.
did I pull you along with me for a bit?
For a bit, I
Yeah.
think on the hill was when you pulled away farther, and
Yeah.
that's when I was kind of going along.
Yeah, that was a fun race. And then I kind of found out like if racing an AK, like at first, sticking with you was a great idea. You pace it really well. You tend not to go out too hot, and you're conservative but not too conservative, where it's fucking us over in the end.
Yeah, it's a fine line to walk.
Yeah.
I think I've walked it a lot better throughout the years than the last couple of years, and I think also coming off of injury and stuff like that, it helps you. That kind of gets you into a better pacing mindset because you can't go out
Yeah.
too hot with not having a lot of fitness, and that kind of translated into doing the same for cross.
Yeah, and I think it also helps. I think
With the exception of conference, because we went out at 4:48. That's a bit dumb on my part.
yes, we did go pretty hot. You talking about this
Oh,
year's
I was talking
conference?
about last year. Oh yeah, this
year
yeah.
was crazy.
Ooh, that year.
We'll get to that real quick, but this year that was a great race, and I think
Yeah, we could talk about junior like back and forth now
Yeah.
since
we're
about
we're on
to
the same timeline.
Yeah,
This
we're
is
the
where
same
I come
time.
in, and then he's here as a junior, so I'm a freshman, junior, and I feel like at camp we kind of made a first little bit of a bond because we have a running shoes in common. So it was me and you that made that kind of bond. So it was really easy to kind of want to go with you in a race,
Mhm.
and then we were also in the same workout group. So it was me, you, Eddie, and Will, as all teammates of us. And so we kind of really grew attached to each other, and we stuck with each other for a while. And that brings us to the next meet, which was Georgia.
UNG.
Yes.
UNG, the
And we both
great course.
popped off there, even though it was a shitty course. I think we both had a really good race.
So very bad.
Yeah, you placed 6th, so
Yeah.
that was a good one for you. I think I placed what? 4th?
You were 4th. I think
Yeah.
you got ahead by the bit. And it was fun. He did the scream again, and I heard it. I knew what it was this time, and I had probably like 150 to 200 on you going into that final turn.
Yeah.
And I heard the scream. He went around the corner, and I was I was going around the corner. I heard the scream, and I was like, "Oh God, I have to go! I have to go! I have to go!" And I was throwing my arms up as I was flailing to get it past, and then here it comes like,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh my God, he got me!" Like, is that a superpower? That's some ridiculous stuff.
I'm trying to convince him to try the scream or just yelling at the end.
I'm not great at talking while running, and especially racing, and so that's why I'm
Yeah.
a little. I should maybe practice makes perfect, but that's why I'm a little apprehensive on going on that.
So that kick got me into that 4th spot. I think going into that, I was behind Tanner. I caught him in the woods because he was struggling with
Yeah.
he had a really
had a
bad
cramp.
stitch in his side, and to make it worse, he was leaning over, so he ended up hurting his butt somehow. He pulled something in there. I make fun of it to this day. I don't know how he did that. He's the old man of the team.
He's an old man.
So I
In many
pass
ways.
him, and I see Andy, and I see the other. Oh God, who was your friend from UNC Pembroke?
Jack.
Jack, yeah.
from
And I see him. I'm trying to hunt him down, and I got my whole David Goggins mindset right here. I'm like, I'm taking souls, right?
I talked to him after. He was wondering what the hell that was too.
So I just let out the biggest Uno Mas I ever have in my life. I just screamed as loud as possible, and that was probably one of my best kicks of the season.
Yeah, I think so.
And I ended up kicking past Jack, and I saw you. I'm like, oh damn, I got to get him too.
That
So,
did pull Jack along too, because he named
Yeah.
me at the end.
He got you in the
He
end.
got me at the end.
Really?
Yeah.
So I got you and Jack, but I think we all consecutively had a great race that race.
Yeah.
The only thing that sucked is I don't know if you remember, but my stomach was absolutely trashed.
Oh yeah.
I went straight to the porta potty. I remember so again UNG is a lap course. So
Yeah.
it's
1 mile lap.
what was
basically.
it? It was how many laps was that? It was
5 laps.
5 laps. And we on the 5th lap, going the 5th lap, I felt my stomach grumble, and I'm like, oh shit, how bad do I want this? Ended up going away, thank God. But as soon as I finished that race,
Otherwise, a trail of brown.
yeah,
It would have blended in with the dirt at least.
It would have. As soon as I finished that race, though, I ran like I sat down for a bit. I congratulated everyone. Me and Andy were like, "Let's go," and he's like, "Damn, that screen got me," and I had to go to the bathroom. I walked. I was debating just going in there with my spikes. So
Yeah, I don't blame you.
the
I
rest
mean,
of the
you had the
night-
cross country spikes. You weren't gonna damage the plate up or anything like that.
No, that was terrible. And then I mean, after that, we stayed overnight.
Yeah.
And we
And
had
and that was a race we hopped out of the van
Yeah.
with an hour and a half before the race, I think, because we drove there.
Yeah.
In the afternoon from Salisbury to Oakwood, which is probably northeast of Atlanta, around then. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not worried about the time either.
Yeah.
I can miss class. It's all good.
I'm gonna be a little late. It's fine.
We have important matters.
Exactly. Yeah, Dr. Wilson. I'm sorry. After that race, we go to Adidas. Winthrop
And
Adidas.
Adidas Winthrop, not
Yeah.
Adidas McAlpine. Oh,
Yeah.
I miss Adidas McAlpine. I wish I could race
So
there again.
this was Winthrop University.
Yeah.
And it was basically, I mean, this to
It
be
was a
honest, it was
kind of
kind of a
golf
dual
course.
meet.
Yeah, it was a meet. I guess it was a meet.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
And-
I like the way we raced though. Racing from the front was so fun.
We raced really smart. I think you had the same problem I had at UNG, but you thought you might have to take a shit mid race.
Yeah, I
And-
did.
Yeah, so you pulled off a bit, and I was able to kind of go past you. I stuck with EJ, but the shit feeling went away
Yeah,
after a bit. You were able to
Rebounded.
kind of regroup a little bit, and you had a great race there.
and that course is going to be the regional course for D1 next year, apparently.
Winthrop?
Yeah.
And wasn't a bad course.
I didn't think it was either. I don't know how they're going to do a 10K. I don't know how you can do a 10K on that course.
We did tons of
with
loops.
34 people,
Yeah,
with 34 teams on that tiny course. It
Yeah.
kind of surprised me. Apparently they've done it before, so they can do it again. But I cannot picture that many teams on that size of course.
Yeah.
Because it was narrow at some points.
so just for context, he finished 4th that race. So we're on Andy's crusade right now. So he went 8th at the home meet, 6th at UNG, and 4th at the home the Adidas Winthrop race. So
You almost won the damn thing, which is pretty
yeah,
awesome.
I feel like if I knew the course, I had a
Yeah.
chance. But it was a really fun
You
race.
were like 5 seconds removed from the guy that won it.
3.
Oh yeah, it was close.
And went down to a kick, and I love this part. I gave my good old scream, and they're like, oh yeah, he's got him right. And then they saw me come around the corner, and I just gave it the Uno Mas, like, oh shit, he's actually charging it. And they're like, yelling at their teammate, they run faster, run faster. He's like, he's almost on you, and he ended up beating me. But by the end of the race, I saw him. He had saliva all over his mouth and just covered in spit and sweat, and I'm like, I might have lost, but if I had to make him work that hard, I'm not mad.
I don't
Yeah.
care.
And he was a great guy.
He had the home mean advantage too. It was
Yeah.
a guy from Winthrop that one. I can't remember his name.
Very nice guy. Very nice guy. Pleasure to race him. But that was a great race for us too.
That was good, and that basically led into Huntsville, which
Yeah,
is
which-
pretty sick. The fabled cross country legendary course.
Yeah.
John Hunt Park.
Yeah.
In Huntsville.
That was a fun trip.
Yeah.
I haven't had that many opportunities in high school to go on like trips like these. With
Yeah.
money. I've like a few.
I haven't I never went out of the state for a high school meet.
I went to Philly
Track or cross.
in Boston, but something like this with you, and we were on a van for how many hours? 10
It was
hours.
about 10. It was 8 or 9 there. It was shorter there, longer back. It was like 8 or 9 there.
Yeah.
It was long.
So
Trip.
we did that trip, and it was a really fun meet. I had so much fun, and you ran insane.
Yeah, that was a good meet.
Yeah. So he went from a 25:49 PR to, do you know what it is?
25, 13.
14.
14?
Yeah.
It was close.
So 25:14 for him, and we both had a great race. I mean, I did the same thing I've been doing all season. I found you.
Yeah.
And I stuck with you for as long as I could, and then I tried to pass you towards like what was the last K-ish.
Something like that. It was
Yeah.
after the hill.
Yeah, and then I
Cool.
found EJ. I got past EJ, one of our other teammates that tends to go a little bit harder than we do at the beginning, and we both had a great race. Did you finish? You finished right along with EJ, right?
I finished about 3 seconds removed from EJ. He was like 25:10,
Yeah.
3 or 4 seconds. I got Steph at the end. Going down the hill into the straight, I got him.
Yeah.
That was a really fun race. I see the hype behind that course. It wasn't the greatest day in terms of conditions. It was a bit cold and muddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a fun course to go on. it was definitely worthy of the hype it's gotten.
Yeah, because EJ ran 25:10 for contacts. I ran 25:03.
Yeah,
Ended
and
up
that
getting,
and Osama 24:50, 24:37, and Eric was like 24:20s.
yeah,
And I think that meet was the fastest team average in school history as well.
it was great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the fastest we ever thought we were going to go the entire season.
Yeah.
Hint for later on. So Eric ends up going super fast, 24:25. Osama has a great day too. He ends up going, what would you say, 24:37?
Yeah.
25:03 for me, a freshman record. EJ goes 25:10. That's a PR for him.
Yeah.
You went 25:14.
And Steph 25:17. Will with the breakout race 25:19.
25:17. They went 0.1 within each
Oh.
other. It was 25:17.2 for Stefan, 25:17.3. Damn. Will, did you get out kicked? Oh,
Yeah, I think he might have, or he might have caught back up, but just not enough.
not enough room. Yeah.
He was a yard short.
I'm still.
Anthony and Tanner are a little bit of a rough one, but I think that was another. I guess if I want to talk about the theme of the season early, for this one, I would say it's something along the lines of everyone having each other's backs. Like I got your back because this is probably the year so far that we've had the most depth because whenever a guy got knocked down a bit or was getting knocked down a bit, there was always three others to pick him back up, and that was with Tanner this race, and come conference,
Tanner
was me, and also regionals me. I was a little bit of a stinker as well, but there were always guys to pick each other up, and I think that's a really big theme for this season. We had the really good depth all around, and on top of having really good depth, we had a really good bond.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I mean, I don't know if I pissed off EJ by doing this, but every time I caught up with him in a race, I said, "Don't worry, man, you're not alone." And I think he appreciated it. So we kind of finished that last K usually together.
Strangest thing I've ever seen in a cross country race. This is probably top 5 moments in the Huntsville race. There was a guy racing barefoot.
Barefoot, yes.
Barefoot racer.
I'm like,
from Florida Southern.
Jesus.
No, not Florida Southern.
Was it?
It is Florida Southern, or Southern Florida, or
Maybe I remember his name.
I can't even remember.
Was it Mississippi College?
No, it wasn't. I'll send you a picture so you can throw it up. The Moccasins. I can't remember what it was. It was a Florida school. Maybe Southern. No, it was not USF. Oh, I can't.
The thing that amazes me, not the fact that he ran it barefoot.
What it is.
I mean, that's amazing in itself, but he didn't get spiked.
Yeah, apparently. What was it? Apparently, he was starting in spikes and kicked him off. That's what I've heard. He kicked off the spikes.
Why?
Willingly. I have no clue. It's the most bizarre.
Strangest thing ever.
Yeah. It was a Florida team though, so maybe it's a Florida man thing. I think it might be a Florida man thing.
I mean, it's weird enough for a Florida man thing, but I mean, shout out to that guy. Holy cow!
What was it? I can't remember what team. It's gonna bug me. It was a Florida team, and they beat us that race, and we got them back at nationals, which is nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, Huntsville. After Huntsville,
it's conference.
Yes.
Conference
was we were hyping ourselves up a bit because we had the idea to get Wingate, which Wingate, spoiler alert, ends up winning the Natty in November. So and they weren't racing the 7 they did in November, and the hype that we had was that we can get the team, we can get the B team, we can get the team that's gonna run the conference race and not the guys that are running the national race. So we got a shot at them, and it was at I call it a dual meet course. It was basically a dual meet course in Newton, hosted by Lenore Ryan, and that was probably, it was like conference my sophomore year. It was a hot start. It was a hotter start than I had at conference in sophomore year as well, because we were, I think I was in like the 15 to 20 spot, and I was going 4:45, and the top guys were going under 4:30. I'm pretty sure.
Was that with you in the beginning, or was it?
I think we
were all together.
We were all together.
AJ, Tanner.
Because the idea, I think we had the strategy going into the race was we're gonna take it out hard. We're gonna go with them. We're gonna see how long we can last, and hopefully we'll be the ones that outlast longer.
Yeah.
And
we ended up getting slaughtered.
We were like we were pigs led to the slaughter, pretty
Yeah,
much.
they scored 20 points at me, really close to a perfect score. We scored 59.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Anderson wasn't even close at 110. So it was basically a duel
That
game
was a
between
rough one.
me and Wingate, us and Wingate. And, but, I mean, the course was so short.
It was. Oh yeah, I was also insanely short.
Yeah.
There was not a legitimate sub 23 run in Newton on October 25th or whatever.
Sadly.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was probably like 4.8 something. I think it was
I
like
heard it
250 to 300 meters off.
285.
They changed it for some reason. I don't know why. At the beginning of the year, full length, but they cut a corner, and
Yeah.
that cut 300 meters off.
Maybe it was a little bit long, and they wanted to see if it cutting the corner would make it right
Maybe.
on.
I don't know.
Anyways, I ran 23:40, which
For a real 8K.
I got asked a lot of questions after that if that was real. I had people reach out to a friend of mine and asking if it was real from a different school.
Yeah.
I had coaches reach out to me and like ask if it was real, and it was just insanely fast.
Yeah.
For how it was short, it was flat.
Short. If it's full length, there probably would have been a guy in like the under 23:30.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, we converted the times in a converter. I know that's kind of iffy.
It's a little sketch.
And so it converts my time, my 23:40 to, I remember this, it's 24:26. Did you remember yours?
It was around 25 O's.
Yeah, and
It was right on 25:10.
if I add 15 seconds to that as well, it's still a PR for me.
Yeah.
So if I add 15 seconds to the conversion, it's still a AKPR.
Yeah, it would have appeared all around.
Yeah, because it's just a flat course. But I mean, I was really proud of the effort. We didn't beat them.
Yeah.
We got kind of killed, honestly.
You did.
But I think everyone gave it everything they possibly could have.
That is true. And I didn't have a solid race. I faded towards the end. I fell out of like all conference. But the more important thing was that guys like Steph and Anthony, they really picked it up and picked up where I dropped it and secured that back end basically.
Yeah, they were
which
having
also
fun.
adds to that theme of I got your back in a sense.
From
they had
what
our
I
backs.
know, they were doing that little like step, like they were Anthony was in front.
I call it the slinkying.
Yeah, slinky. Yeah,
You up and up and up and up and up, and that repeated onto nationals. But we can get
Yeah.
into that.
that was
So-
a great race for all of us. And sadly enough, this is where my story kind of takes a little pause.
Unfortunately.
The week after we do a Wednesday workout, my calf's been kind of feeling a little bit iffy for the last 3 weeks. And we do the Wednesday workout. I'm like, oh damn, actually today's a pretty good day, which is ironic. I do half the work. No, I do most of the
You
workout.
did most of the workout. I
And
think you
then-
did. You probably did 90%.
Yeah, and then coach saw me limping, and we're about to do the 200s and 400s.
200s.
And he pulled me. I'm like, okay, it's a little calf strain. Hopefully, with the resources we have here, I can get this dealt with in the next few days. I can go to regional still. Unfortunately, it was a stress fracture. I'll put an image on the screen for you. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't the hugest stress fracture anyone's ever seen, but it was still a stress fracture. They saw an X-ray, which surprised them. They thought they'd have to do an MRI instead because I was still.
Does that indicate it's bigger?
Yeah.
If it's on.
Yeah, because MRI is a little bit easier to see stuff, and the X-ray it has to be a full-blown fracture for them to be able to see it. And they saw it right away. And I was still trying to argue with the guy. I was like, oh, I think it's just muscular related. I think it's been getting better. I honestly I think I'm gonna try to do some more work with it and see if I can get it back in the groove of things. He's like, no, that's a stress fracture. He turned the monitor towards me, and I see it. I'm like, damn.
Fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. Without saying that, I was like, yeah, fuck, yeah. I think I actually did swear at him. I was like, "What the fuck? Are you serious?" and
That's not too inappropriate of a reaction, honestly.
yeah, I was.
Swearing or not.
I
would
did
do it.
not understand, and hopefully we can have that episode soon.
Yeah.
To talk about
The injury one.
stress
Or the idea
fractures.
for injury,
Yeah.
Stress fractures.
They can be a clusterfuck. They can be a mental clusterfuck, a physical clusterfuck. All around, it does suck. I mean, you've had experience with
I've only had muscular issues, but definitely not on the
stress fracture. Yeah.
the severity of a stress fracture.
It takes you out for a while. And
Yeah.
so at that time, my time was pretty much done. I didn't figure out I had a stress fracture until later on, after regionals.
Yeah.
So before that, I had to make the call of either taking anti-inflammatories and trying to run through it, or give my spot to Andy because he
At
unfortunately.
that point, I was bumped out of the 7 going
Yeah.
into regionals, and I wouldn't be racing. It would be you and Steph and Anthony and Usama and Eric and Tanner.
Yeah.
That would be the 7.
My thought process of that is Andy is a fun racer himself. There's no way I'm racing better than he could with a leg injury. I didn't know it was a stress fracture at the time. I didn't believe it was. And so Andy ended up taking my spot for me.
Mhm.
And he ended up performing very, very well. Not to the standard he liked, but he gave it a lot of heart. And I think it was perfectly the right call on my part, even not knowing it was a stress fracture. Like, I was extremely happy to get my spot to him and have him race too. And I think you gave it everything you had at regionals. So if you
it
wanna get into
wasn't
regionals-
regionals back at Oakwood, back at the damn lab course.
Yeah, so Georgia.
Oakwood, Georgia, November 2nd or 4th. I can't remember exactly. So we had a 10K, and it was fuck, words are hard. Biggest competition of the day. Well, the region, the Southeast is definitely getting a lot better, but 3 spots make the nationals, 3 teams, top 3, and Wingate, Augusta, Flagler, Anderson, Pembroke. Those were the everyone that was trying to get into contention. A lot of teams, a lot of competitiveness. Flagler had got us at Huntsville by a bit. I think
No, Augusta got us at Huntsville.
Augusta got us at Huntsville. I think no, we got Flagler.
by
Flagler
50.
had a good pack.
Yeah.
But Flagler had a good pack, but no low stick, and Usama and Eric were good for the low stick, so we had to make sure to get ahead of them on the low stick.
Yeah, just for context, the low stick basically just means the fact that with the running, it's they're like a lower end of it, so like they place lower in the race, so they give us a little bit of advantage.
Lower as in higher, close to like
Yeah,
the
close to
front,
first place. Yeah,
it's weird terminology sometimes.
yeah, it can be weird. So go. I think one of the cameras just died. So
Oh, that's what you were looking at. Yeah.
bye. Sorry, you can't see
Oh,
me
shit.
anymore. We might just be on the iPhone, or we might just be no camera at all now. We'll see how that goes. Anyways, take us through regionals and then I guess nationals to end it off. maybe?
Yeah, I think we'll do that. Regionals, yeah, the point was just to get in that top 3. That was the main goal. We knew we had the chops to do it. It was just a matter of execution, and we did execute fairly well. We did not do what we did at conference. Instead, Flagler took that role basically. They went out hot. A lot of the guys from Flagler, Augusta, Wingate, and a lot of individuals went out hot in that first mile. And what ended up happening was that we were able to start from the back and go forward pretty well. And I didn't have a great experience in that, but that was also not a great regionals for me, unfortunately. I just have a bit of a curse with that, it seems. But everyone else moved up pretty well. We had, I think, 4 in all region, top 25. And we got the 3rd spot. We got it pretty soundly as well, by like 50 odd points. And we got to Joplin for nationals. So that was pretty sick to do.
Yeah.
Are the cameras still good?
Yeah, they're still good. I am trying to get yours back up and running again.
Nah, yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, so we'll have to just dig on that one.
But yeah, got to nationals, pretty sick. Hadn't done that before personally. Bit of a redemption time for everyone that went to the 21 national meet.
Yeah. I remember watching the live results, trying to.
So that was 2 weeks after the regional meet on the 18th, I believe. So we were in Joplin for a couple of days already.
Yeah.
It was a pretty sick course. It was very up and down. The cameras are deceivingly good at making it look flat because I was still in contact with my old track coach from high school, my old track and cross coach. And he was telling me, oh, it looks flat. Like, it looks really fast and flat. No, no, not really. I mean, it was fast, but it was definitely very, very up and down.
Yeah.
It was very, very quality though. I really did love that course. Um, and it was sick to line up on the line with that many quality nationally ranked teams and be in a setting like on states, but crazy big
That's what
and
I
crazy
always loved
awesome.
about states is like everyone here will work their asses off to
Yeah,
be there,
and it's
and
like that effect tenfold.
yeah,
I think for
for
a national
nationals,
meet.
yeah, and you had a little bit of redemption there too because you ran 32 flat at regionals,
For a
right?
6 mile course,
For
also,
a short
yeah,
course and a flat course, fairly,
fairly.
um, or flat and downhill, but some uphills. It wasn't that bad of a course, but I think
No,
the nationals course was a lot tougher, and you ran 11-second PB.
yeah,
So
and an 8K on route, 8K PB on route. I ran 25:07
yeah,
through 8K, which is
25 to
pretty
7,
sick. Yeah,
and damn,
yeah. And we had good weather too. It was around noon Central Time in Missouri. It was like high 50s,
yeah.
no wind, bit of sun, bit of clouds. Uh, and we were going into that meet ranked 37th out of 34 teams that make it. We were getting a bit screwed over with that,
The
but we ended
rankings, yeah.
up placing 22nd out of it, and that was a really good result coming out of the day.
Yeah.
And everyone was pretty happy with that to get that kind of redemption.
I was incredibly happy. I was looking at the live results and I was very pleased because I mean, I think we were a little bit disrespected with the fact that we weren't coming into it ranked at all,
Yeah,
or just a very very low
very low
ranking.
rank.
It was terrible.
I mean, given how we did in 21, uh, it's it's expected, but also
Yeah.
I guess not not surprising.
I'm
But also
hoping.
we were kind of wanting to get that chip off our shoulder.
Yeah, I'm hoping this year they actually give us a little bit more respect.
That would be nice.
Because even going into regionals, they ranked Flagler ahead of us.
Yeah,
Because they apparently had a little bit better of a.
Flagler had a good conference meet.
Yeah.
And that was something that the people doing rankings thought was better for them than I guess our previous meets.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was a great cap this season. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think it could have gone better than that.
It's been the best one so far. I'd say.
Yeah. So, take us real quickly to present, if you
Good
can,
present.
for yourself from indoor, and
Oh yeah, indoor. I suppose I'll get into that.
because we've only had like one race so far,
Yeah,
and
it was not a great race, admittedly.
it was at VMI, Virginia Military Institute.
Lexington, Virginia.
I don't know what time you woke up, but I woke up at 4:40 for this,
I woke up at 4:50ish.
and I wasn't even running.
He was a cameraman.
I was the
a media
cameraman.
man.
Yeah, I
Took some
was
good
taking
photos.
some photos for them, and that was an early day, and I think we had a 3.5, 4 hour bus drive.
It was insanely long. It was going in and out. I was sleeping the whole time. I think it was probably 3 hours, 3 or more.
That's
We
difficult
got there at like 9ish.
to race after that.
It was, especially five. I raced the 5, and the 5 was the first running event for the day at noon.
Just in case my dad is listening to this and he doesn't know what it's a 5K,
5K,
5,000 meters.
5,000,
So a lot of laps on our track.
25,
So
and a bit more painful than I thought it was going to be that day.
we're in 15:29. It's not
Yeah.
what anyone wanted, but I think
No.
you did. I think all the guys showed a valiant
I
effort.
think the effort did not indicate the time.
Yeah.
Because I thought I raced better than the time indicated, and I think everyone in that race had a bit worse than they were expecting. There was one of the guys that was at the front of the heat was a guy who had made it from our region in cross to nationals, who was probably looking to run under his PR, which is like 1450s, and he ended up running like 15 flat. So it wasn't the best of days all around for everyone in that heat.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just a rough start, but it is what it is sometimes.
That's how the first indoor race always is. You're used to cross where it's a longer stretch
Even
race.
through high school. I mean, I know I didn't do indoor in high school, but would you say that has
Yeah, I've always
kind
had
of been a testament to how indoor races
super shitty
started?
indoor seasons, and even in the first meet of indoor season, has always been like I'm so mad at the end of the race because I did not perform anywhere where I wanted to be. For my senior year, my junior year, every year, prior indoor races, the first indoor race, you're just not ready for that that quick foot
Yeah.
speed. When you're coming from an 8K, 10K guy to a 5K, it doesn't sound like a huge difference. It sounds long to everyone, but
Mhm.
that is
It is.
I mean, that'll hit you hard.
It definitely hit hard that day. That's for sure.
Yeah. I
Um,
think no one had the day they
it
wanted to
wasn't.
have.
No. Everyone had okay day, but okay, or I guess goodish days depending on. I know Steph would probably say he had a good day. I know Anthony and Will would probably say they had a good or okay day.
Yeah.
But everyone else was a bit disappointed with how it went, which I can't blame them. It was a so-so day. I think travel probably took a bigger bite out of everyone than we thought.
Yeah.
Um,
But I'm excited because guess what we got upcoming?
we do have another meet.
Yeah.
Closer to home, thankfully, in Liberty, so that should be nice.
Which is
And
in Virginia
I have a
as
bit
well.
of a soft spot for Liberty too, because I broke 16 for the first time at that track.
I do
which is
not,
Pretty nice.
but luckily he does and he's racing. I got my face torn in when I was there the last time. I ended up not being able to feel my legs the last finish and completely.
Honest question: would you rather, if Catawba cut indoor track, would you be mad?
Not really.
Yeah.
If we get more funding for cross country and outdoor, I would not care.
But if there wasn't, if it was zero sum, if there was no negative to cutting it, but if there's no positive, how would you feel?
Indoor does help for the fact I feel like it does get you mentally ready for outdoor.
Yeah.
If you do it right, if you do it where you go all into indoor, for outdoor you're dead. If you go all into outdoor and leave a little bit for indoor, you're not going to perform the way you want to in indoor. Obviously, I think the best way to do it is like a hopping season. So you're just kind of you're at one point, you're kind of in the midpoint, and that's kind of where you transition, and that's your transitioning period. Where I would want to put more emphasis on the workouts, kind of tortures a little bit more, but not care as much about how we're racing. I think it's difficult, and coach can't do that because we have to have a good conference performance as well.
That's the thing. It's hard to squeeze it out, and I think that was that's been an issue going into this season. I'd say because there was originally on the itinerary a potential Boston trip, but with the limited space we had in terms of meets, no one was probably going to hit an indoor mark for a qualification for that.
Yeah,
which was. It's annoying when you have that on the horizon and thinking that could be a thing, but just not having the time to squeeze it out is a little annoying. But I would rather trade that for a good outdoor season or a better outdoor season.
Exactly.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And I do wonder how it would be if
we didn't have indoor.
If indoor, because my high school didn't do indoor. We just trained all the way to outdoor.
Yeah.
And honestly, personally, I think that was better for my development going into college because I had more time to not feel, I guess, burnt out. Because I know that kind of cycle going on for, I don't know, 8 years could probably take an effect on someone. If you start that as a high school freshman, do cross indoor outdoor, cross indoor outdoor, cross indoor outdoor, cross indoor outdoor for all of high school, and then repeat it through college. So I think that did me a service, but I don't know how would everyone else, and especially track team guys, that would probably hurt more than distance guys, cross guys.
Yeah.
So it would be a bit unfair of can I speak fairly when I say our assessment?
Yeah.
I think it would be a bit unfair for our assessment to be that, we'd be fine with it, but
yeah,
it's trade-offs. I don't think it would be fair for the guys that are sprints or jumps or pole vault and stuff like that. It wouldn't be fair for them.
Because they're itching to get to competition because they were spending all fall training, not having that competition for them. But I do agree, like, it's kind of an awkward lag in between two big seasons where it's kind of this thing we still kind of hype up a little bit, but not as much as outdoor or cross country. And it's kind of awkward.
It is the redheaded stepchild of
it is.
Or the running seasons.
Exactly, yeah. And it feels weird. There is some people on the team on the cross country team that have a different opinion than that. Like Seth absolutely loves it. I'm fully convinced it's because he's really successful in indoor, unlike me, and I just have a little bit of a bad relationship with it.
Seth has a bad relationship with cross, to be fair.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's going to get better. I believe it's going to get better.
It is.
He definitely doesn't like it as much now.
Just for the listeners, though, let them know what you're racing at Liberty this weekend.
Liberty, 3K. I'm going to wait all day for that, but Liberty 3K in a heat with Usama and Eric and who else was racing the 3? I can't remember who else was racing the 3.
Maybe
But
EJ or no?
EJ the 5.
5K.
So, who I know, Boogie Burns. Boogie Burns is in the 3 because he got moved down, and James. So
Mhm.
we're seated around 840, which should be nice. Trying to go in under 835 should be preferable.
Yeah.
So that there's more to look forward to.
It's exciting.
And the biggest thing just coming off of the biggest thing coming off of a disappointing race is especially just keeping your head up with how you approach the rest of the races. Because if you have a thunderstorm cloud hanging over your head over a bad race you have at the start of the season, it's not going to do you any good. So just, at least for me personally, it's just looking forward to another opportunity to race, and that's how I'm viewing this. Just another good opportunity to race better, preferably.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch it, and I got cleared to go and take some more photos of them running fast.
You have to get cleared for that?
I ask Brian every time.
Oh, that's
Coach Brian, yeah. So because
JB.
it's they're paying for my meals, and also I'm a seat on the bus too. So he's making sure he has enough room, and then also the fact they're paying for my meal is another thing they're looking out for.
Yeah.
And I'm not even running. But on a positive note to that sad story about how I'm not running, I am most likely going to have my first run back on ground, cross my fingers, this actually upcoming week, hopefully. February 9th is supposed to be the day where I can kind of get back into it.
That would be a great day.
I'm going to play with body weight more. I got cleared from my doctor to do that, so I can go from 75 to 80 to 85, 90, 95, and then I'm back on ground again hopefully soon. And just being smart with that progression. But I'm excited to get back out there with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's been too long.
Definitely need you out there.
We'll get more into that on the. I promise I won't do that too much, but we'll get more into that on the stress fracture episode. I'll kind of explain my journey with my stress fracture, and then hopefully, I think I got Eddie Degree to come on as well.
Yeah.
To talk about that, to give you some tips. But I'm excited for this weekend. I think you boys, you got punched in the face first, and now you're angry and you're ready for vengeance.
Yeah, definitely. Need to.
Yes.
Very motivated to.
All right. I think it was interesting to kind of hear our different experiences with the cross country season, but I think we were really similar when I got here.
I mean, I know I didn't. I thought about it. I'm like, damn, I didn't really hear much about your high school side of things.
Just to go into it really quickly, because I'm already late for class. Whatever.
Yeah, we both are. It's all right.
I was a little bit more different than Andy. My freshman year, I had a coach tell me that I could be recruited. And then from there, the big dreams kind of clouded my head, and I kept just running. I had a really successful freshman year. I ended up getting first in my cross-country team, which wasn't that successful. I mean, it sounds really successful, but a lot of the guys at the time, but they weren't super, super fast. They were running like 17:45 at the best.
Yeah. That was how it was my sophomore year when I got into cross.
Yeah. So I ended up running 17:33 my freshman year as my PR, which is decent. It's not bad. And he says that I think he can be really successful in the 800. I was like, okay, I'll try the 800. I went to track, and COVID hit. So school was closed down for a bit, and then the next year came around, and I was actually same deal with Andy. That was your senior season where you had cross country until January, and I was injured because we were training for so long.
It was insanely long.
I had an injury.
Like at that point, it was for me. It was training from June to January. It was insanely long.
It was terrible, and I got an injury midsummer because we were just having these like workouts that were just not in the time season that we should have been. But there was no fault of my coaches. They just didn't know what was going on. I had a calf injury, of course.
Yeah.
Calves kill me.
Calves are annoying.
And through the entire sophomore season, kind of had a lag track. I redeemed myself a bit because I was tired of being mediocre. And my junior year, I was like, well, shit, if I'm going to actually get to college, I need to do something at this point. So first race of the season, I ran 16:25 for my 5K at McAlpine. That was a good race for me. I ended up getting, I don't know what place I got, but it was pretty decent. I continued.
What was this, Hare and Hounds or?
It was Providence Invite.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, and it was a good race, and that was a big confidence booster. Went into the next race, went 16:15 at Friday Night Lights, I think. So 10-second PB. I'm like, now I'm thinking sub 16. Let's do it. Come on, let's go. My confidence is getting built up. I was like, whoa, we're ready. Went into a couple races after that. My birthday race ran 16:13. So I kept getting these little tiny PBs. I'm like, oh, damn it. Now I'm starting to taper off. Yeah.
Chipping away.
And then it got to my last big chance. I'm kind of skipping a couple meets here for time's sake. At regionals, ran 15:58. I'm like, damn, I'm there. I feel good. 15:58 as a junior.
That is
Um,
damn nice.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, well, let's go for broke at states because like it wasn't the school record. I wanted to get that my junior year, and I went out in states, ended up getting tripped, sprained my ankle, spiked a few times in the first 200 meters. If anyone's
Jesus,
ever ran
dude.
Kernersville,
Oh, man.
it tapers off.
Kernersville, the gate.
Yeah, it tapers off, so you're like maybe can go 10 wide if you're lucky, and so you get boxed in super fast if you don't go to the sides. And I just got tripped up and spiked a few times. I got back up, but I finished second on the team. Ran 16:45 was my worst race of the season.
Dude,
Yeah,
Kernersville sucks with that.
Yeah.
I tripped and fell my sophomore year.
it's
on
terrible.
Friday Night Lights and got spiked all over my back.
It's absolutely terrible.
It sucks.
Yeah. And then that really made me mad. But came back my junior year in track. I'm like, okay, I really need something because I talked to the UMC Charlotte coach after that because like I haven't heard of Catawba by then, and I
You've
was
been
like,
under the radar.
but on the radar. Coach didn't reach out yet. And UNC Charlotte coach was like, well, where did you finish at states? And I'm like, oh, it was terrible. I sprained my ankle. He's like, okay, well, talk to me when you get to this. I'm like, okay, all right. And I ended up going into indoor, and we ran a stellar 10x400 workout. We were doing 65s down to 60s, and I ended up running 59:58. And then a week after that, got a gluteal tendonitis injury, so my tendon was inflamed. And it
Damn.
had me out for a month and a half.
Tanner injury, bro. But
Tanner, yeah, that was that old
Yeah.
man injury with Tanner. We share a lot of experiences together. But I ended up going through that racetrack, ended up getting my ass in gear by the state meet. Last minute, I ran 4:31. It was my fastest time. And at state, ended up running 4:24 for the 1600.
That's a big jump.
Yeah.
That's got to be a big confidence.
I'm
booster.
like, thank God. I still can maybe run in college.
7 is your number. Well, that's a bit of a spoiler, but how you ran on senior year
Yeah,
for track.
Yeah.
7 is a lucky number.
exactly. And that was after doubling back in the 800 for the 4x8, and we had a decent performance there. And I'm like, okay, summer's starting. I'm gonna just work for a bit, see what happens. I had no idea about recruiting. If I knew now, I would have reached out to a lot more schools.
Oh, and quick tangent on the 4x8. There's a funny photo with you, and I think that you posted. Tanner was in it. At the back.
Yeah.
I like that
I
photo.
wasn't as close with Tanner at the time, but I posted a picture on my Instagram of I'll put it on the feed if the cameras are still working. If not, I'll just put it on there. It's me beating Tanner. So it's kind of a funny photo. I still get teased about posting that for a bit now. But that was a funny photo. And then so just to kind of fast forward, whole summer goes by, never heard from anyone. Several talks to my parents like, okay, well, community college it is. Maybe trade school. We'll think about it. I was thinking military for a bit, but with the current, I'm not taking the political side of things, but with the current like array of what's happening in the United States and something like that, I didn't really want to get in the military at the time. It just wasn't something I was looking into.
It's a reasonable response regardless of
Yeah,
scenarios.
exactly. I love all that stuff. I extremely respect service members, but at the time I just like, it's not for me at this point. I need something else to change. I was like, okay, CPCC or trade school, and then I ran cross country and popped off of a 15:47 for Providence Invite again. Providence Invite happens to be my scene,
Providence.
and
Good old
Coach
Wing Alpine.
Brian,
Was he in person there?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
He found my assistant coach and said he wanted to talk to me. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll try to see if I can find him. Never found him. And then he got my head coach to give me give me my phone number to him at Friday Night Lights because I was out with an injury, so I wasn't racing then. I had a calf injury again.
Damn annoying thing.
And so he reached out to me, and then I started talking to him over the period of time. He gave me a phone call, and I started talking to them. They were never on my radar. I didn't have a problem with D1 or D2. It's just like whatever I could afford, and I
That's an
talked to them.
important lesson for all the youngsters out there too.
Very important. Like you will find after college, D2, D1 does not matter. Unless maybe you're performing at insane levels where you need to do the competition at D1. In that case, it'll be in a full ride. But I think you can still find that division too. And talked to Coach Brian, and well, he wooed you. He wooed me definitely. He had a great conversation with me. He's a great job at that. And I was like, I remember I was at my favorite wing place. They had wing night. And I was talking to my parents after getting off the phone with them. I'm like, this could be the school. This really could be the school. And I met up with you guys, did my visit. I'm like, this is looking really good. He sent me my offer. I didn't think about it that much. I mean, I thought about UNC Charlotte because they reached out to me later on, but I mean, it was Catawba really. I just told all the other coaches. I talked to Queens, told them that I wasn't unfortunately interested. Catawba's my home, and I love the fact that you reached out to me. And I committed to Catawba the same time you did, kind of November-ish, obviously a few years later. And had a really good track season, and then came here, and then you kind of know the rest. Yeah. It's been a hell of a ride. It's been a lot of fun. The guys here are great. I did not even anticipate how good they are.
The expectations were exceeded.
Yeah, I kind of went into it thinking maybe there'd be like a bit of an ego thing with like,
Because there definitely can be.
I mean, there can be a lot of just being frank, there can be a lot of dick measuring in sports like this too. Especially a freshman coming into a senior class, and the fact that I was competing with some of you guys at a running level too can increase that a little bit more. And there was none of that. Everyone was super humble. I mean, super kind, and it was a great experience. We had camp. We grew together kind of more. I would say in high school, it's so much harder to go with someone than it is in college. I mean, I'm roommates with Seth, so I'm with him all the time. You grow closer through that. I run with you. I used to run with you guys on the daily.
That will be happening soon.
Soon, cross our fingers. And then sometimes twice a day, and then weights again. So, and then you're eating with them. Sometimes doing a podcast with them.
Yeah.
So you get super close with them, and I'm just happy I got lucky enough where I chose the school with the right group of guys that just kind of excel in that area. I mean, we don't have the fanciest, we don't get Vaporflies every week, but we do have a good group of guys, good gang.
Hopefully Vaporflies are coming soon. Though.
Yeah, or maybe it's a new pair of Alpha Flies.
Yeah.
But I mean,
would also be nice.
I think it's been a hell of a ride. I mean, not as long as you have. I can't believe next year you're gonna be graduating. But
yeah, I can't either. Honestly, it's gonna be fun.
It's been a lot of fun. I think there's still some comparisons we have, even though that you're a couple years older than me.
I would agree. Like, in the sense, like you've enjoyed it, and I would say I've enjoyed it as much as you have. Like, it's progressively gotten better, which is a good thing. It's progressively become more of a awesome experience.
Yeah,
I think
it's been great.
Nice.
I think we've built that too, and there's members on this team that have built that as well.
Yeah.
Like Bernard, Tanner, you, like just that environment.
That whole class is like 2020.
Yeah, several guys have built
fundamental in that, and 2019.
Yeah, sorry for the ones I leave out, but yeah, it's become a fantastic environment. And I'm happy to be here. But maybe I will still go to class,
Maybe. I think I'll probably do that too, honestly.
All right, so you want
I like J or MB. Different, not JB. I always get that confused. Michael Bitzer, the GOAT of politics.
There you go. All right, so we'll head to class actually. But I feel like I think I'm gonna end this with a cheesy quote, and then we'll do our normal last statement.
Please do enrich us.
All right. Fill your life with experiences, not things. Have stories to tell, not stuff to show. And that was by Lori Desches. I think that's the last name. It's very hard to pronounce.
It will have to be.
It will have to be for now. All right. We'll catch you
in the next lap.
All right.
Woo! Let's go.
Let's go.